Okay, so we are live streaming for Ivy Tech support, or this is the weekly Thursday morning um, live stream from Jason Johnson, and we are doing a hour-long stream today. We're going to be covering some different topics in this live stream. You can skip ahead a little bit because I'm just going to give a quick update on some things, and then we'll get started here in about a minute or two. I'm just going to check settings and make sure everything's working. But we're going to talk about news, or we're going to talk about some updates, I guess, um, on the module 3. I may bring in a couple of news items, and then we'll go over some various labs. I'm going to look at some labs in the NETI 105, the routing and switching course, network fundamentals, and then we're going to talk about INFM 109, um, the SDEV 120 programming class, our intro to programming class, and then we're also going to talk about ITSP 135 and some of the news with the A plus um, or the CompTIA in general. We'll talk about some of the A plus material as well in there. So stay tuned or keep listening. Make sure that you click the subscribe button so that you see the live streams that are going to pop up from time to time. I'm going to I need to bring my chat window. I'm just changing some setting stuff here as we get started. So I'm doing the boring stuff, getting set up. It's hard to get set up live and then make sure all your settings are working and then keep it entertaining as well. So I'm just going to keep talking as we keep working here as I get my OBS, making sure that's working right. I think it is. I think everything's working so far. Yep. And I'm just going to do a test here on the I'm going to do a test on my desktop and make sure the sound's coming through because that always concerns me that sound is not coming through, even though my recording software says it is. And then I can't turn it on my laptop where I'm actually broadcasting from because then it would give me some kind of weird loopback feed. And so I got to bring up Google Chrome here on my work desktop. I don't have my camera turned on. You can leave feedback for me if you want to see me have the camera turned on. I only have one good camera right now. I have a Logitech C920. I'm thinking about buying another one or maybe having I need one here on the campus to do some live streaming. But where I sit in my office, behind me is a window, and so the lighting is just really poor in here. So let's see if I can find myself here on YouTube. I need to put a bookmark here on my desktop. There we go. Hey, awesome. So, hey, and my live stream come up right too on the search too. That's awesome. So let's see if the sound is coming through. Oh, it's got to throw. Don't you love it? The ads that get thrown up. So, hey, Indiana trial attorneys. So how is that relevant to my live stream? Oh, I guess it's Ivy Tech in Indiana. Okay, that would make sense. Okay, I'm always interested how the ads come up or how they sell the ads based on the content. But I guess that would if I've got Ivy Tech in Indiana and all that on there. So let me see if the live stream's working here. I may get some feedback. I can't turn it on my laptop where I'm actually. Oh, perfect. All right. So we are rolling. I need to bring my notes over here. So as we follow this, and I'm going to turn on my desktop here in just a minute, and or just a few seconds, and we'll get started there as well. So you can also follow me on Twitter. My contact information is down below on the in the more information. You can find my webpage at jasonejohnson.com. No, that does not have a 31 in it. Believe it or not, I got the jasonejohnson.com more than 10 years ago, maybe, I guess. It's been a long time ago, and I've just kept that domain name. I didn't add that with a 1 in there, mainly because the 31, or I say the 31, I originally started back in 1997, and it does have meaning, the 31, and so Jason E. Johnson or Jason Johnson is a common name, and so it was hard for me to find accounts sometimes, Gmail, obviously. I don't have the 31 here at Ivy Tech. That's just J Johnson. But it's hard to find J Johnson accounts or Jason E. Johnson accounts, so I went with the 31. And so I just kind of continue with that as a theme on YouTube, and just that way it's easier to find me with the 31 on there. All right, so let me make sure I'm going into my courses here. I'm not showing my desktop yet. I'm just making sure that I don't have any personal information pulled up from any students because I don't want that to pull up. That would be bad from a FERPA standpoint. All right, so let me make sure I've got Discord turned off. I don't want that beeping at me. I'm going to go ahead and turn off Outlook because I don't want that popping up. Any notifications? Okay, so I think I've got everything set up. And we are getting ready. Oh, I need to turn Steam off too. I'm not going to do any live streaming of video games here. All right, so let me go to OBS, turn off the Ivy Tech logo, turn on my main screen there, turn off the follow icons. Okay, so you should be looking at my desktop now. That's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about SDEV 120 first. This is a face-to-face class I'm teaching for the fall. It's computing logic or intro to computing logic. It's an intro computing class. Programming class. I normally do not teach programming in the programming side, but due to some changes in faculty and different things like that, I got assigned this SDEV 120 course. So I'm getting to teach some computing logic, which it's not my first choice to teach, but it's an interesting course. I am enjoying it a little bit with some of the logic and some of those things. So we are in Module 3 this week, and we're looking at Introduction to Programming and the Software Development Cycle. So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about that. There's some videos to watch for the students, and they were aware of that. We've already met this week for that. But let's see if I can find the not the practice and review. That's not where we need to go. The reading assignment. Nope, that's not it either. Oh, I know. I was just looking at this either. Let me go to modules here. That makes it a lot easier for me to find here in Ivy Learn or Canvas. There we go. So module 3, and that's a supplemental learning materials right here. And for some reason, I'm getting some lag on Ivy Learn. It's bouncing on me just a little bit. All right. So you want to make sure that you watch these 4 videos. The main one is I want you to focus on if you're in the SDEV 120, and this is just for anybody to really watch. And if you want links to these videos, if you're interested in watching these and you're not in the SDEV 120 class, then just leave a comment below or leave it in the chat window if you want to, or leave a comment on the video, and I will I'll post links to those. I'm not going to do them right now on the live stream just because I didn't set up to show those and get those all ready. But what I want to talk about a little bit is the program development lifecycle, and I'm going to let me see if I can get this here. And you are going to see something that you're probably not going to believe, because you're going to see a college professor using Wikipedia. We hear all the time that, oh, don't use Wikipedia. Wikipedia is bad. Let me I need to close those 2 tabs to this so I don't get any notifications from there. And all right, there we go. And so Wikipedia, though, you'll hear some people say that Wikipedia is bad, that, oh, don't use Wikipedia. I use Wikipedia. Wikipedia, to me, is a nice tool. And I'm going to explain to you why real quick. And then we'll continue on. Wikipedia, and I'm going to use this page for an example. Wikipedia has all kinds of information. It's basically an encyclopedia. It's an online encyclopedia. If you're not old enough to remember the encyclopedias of the old days, I grew up with encyclopedias. My grandmother did not have encyclopedias at her house, but I believe one of the aunts and my aunts or uncles, somebody had a set of encyclopedias. I can't remember who it was, and I would just pull an encyclopedia out and just spend hours going through it. Yes, I know that sounds like a geeky thing for a child, 7, 8, 9, 10 in that age range to be doing instead of going out and playing and doing other things. But I just enjoyed reading through the encyclopedia and looking at all the different information. And to me, Wikipedia is very much the same thing. It is a collection of content that's people on the internet have put in here. Now, what you will hear is you should never use Wikipedia for citation in your works, and I will absolutely agree with that. And I will say you should never use Wikipedia for citation, but what gets lost in all that translation is that, oh, you should never use Wikipedia. Well, no, that's wrong. You use Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a great spot to begin your resource or begin your search for information. So go to the Wikipedia page. So let's say, for example, you've been given, you need to research systems development lifecycle, and you need to write a paper about the SDLC. So you come to the Wikipedia page and you're like, oh man, this really explained it and this really helped me, but I can't use this for a source. Well, that's okay. Scroll down to the bottom, and on most Wikipedia pages, if not all Wikipedia pages, you're going to see this references section right here. This references section is where, hopefully, if someone has built a good Wikipedia page, they have put their references at the bottom, and now you have good references. So now you can jump to these references, and now you've got good research material. So you can say, okay, now I understand what the SDLC is, but let me go find some of these sources, and now I can go research these sources, and I can cite those sources for my research for my paper, and then you're good to go. So if whether you're in high school writing a paper, or you're in college writing a paper, or just doing general research, you can use Wikipedia. No, I mean, there's no way that your instructor knows that you've used Wikipedia or not to start your research. Then jump down to the bottom, look for your references. Don't cut and paste out of Wikipedia because that's plagiarism. But you want to use your references down at the bottom to do your research, and there you go. And it's also, a lot of the pages have further reading and also external links on here. So got some great information. I love Wikipedia because of that. It's a great place to start. It's got some good graphics for those of you that want a more of a not the tactile, the visual learning style. They've got good graphics in here for you. So let's talk about the SDLC, and this is good for terms of just in general reference for just an IT. If you're in the IT field, you need to really understand the SDLC, or the Systems Development Lifecycle. It's also referred to as the Application Development Lifecycle. But it really doesn't matter if you're in manufacturing, you're going to have some kind of development lifecycle. The Deming system, plan, do, check, and act. That's based on the same concept of you are continually improving the process. Really is where the model comes from, or where we talk about, a continual improvement of process. So if we look at the model here, and I really need to figure out how to get, I do have a way to, it's just been so long since I've used it, my Epic Pen. I can draw on the screen. I forgot all about Epic Pen. There we go. Awesome. I just need to move it over here. It's been a long time since I've used it. I need to do clear the screen. Yeah, there we go. Clear the screen. And I can do the cursor, and I can draw my line, and then there we go. So there we go. Pencil. Oop, I've got my which one is going to be the best here? There we go. I kind of like that one there. So let's clear the screen again. So I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. So we've got our process here, and as we go through, you've got your design phase. And the design phase, really, there's another information, in the design phase, you're also going to have, or maybe before that, is you've got your information gathering, or you've got some kind of problem, or you've got some kind of question, you've got something that needs to be solved, or you're going to develop some kind of software. So you say, you need to develop this. So I would almost put another box or another circle up here to say this up here is, and let me see if down here is where they have, I thought I saw another one there. Nope, they don't. So let me go back up here. You have your design phase. Then you go into the implementation phase. So after you get your program designed or the software designed, you go through your testing, you go through your QA, you do your implementation, and then hopefully everything works fine. But you roll out your software. You get your users, you do your training. Then you go into the maintenance phase, and the maintenance phase is where we say what needs to be fixed. What could be better with this? What problems do we have? What are the users saying about this? What are the customers saying about this? And then you go through a process of making changes or planning to make changes to that. Then you analyze those changes, and then you go back through the design phase again, and you redesign that software or update that software, and then it's a continual process that you go through. So that's the systems development lifecycle. There's some other good information down here. This one's a little bit more. Let me click on this one and make this a little bit larger. This is another way to look at it here, where you have your initiation, you go through your concept, your planning, what are your requirements, then you design it, then you develop it, you integrate, you do your testing, your Q&A, you implement it, you put it into operations, or you put it into your daily use, or you put it into use, and then your disposition is I would still say this is a wraparound. Even on your operation and maintenance, you always loop back around to um, your requirements or changes. I mean, you're always going to loop back around because you're going to constantly be updating it. And then on the disposition is when you get to your end of life or your EOL. It's when a software. When are we going to roll? When are we going to phase this out for a new version or another type of software or another type of system or something like that? Okay, so that is and that I'm going to create a links page. I have not done this before. Links from live stream. You just get to watch me do this here. So that's the SDLC, and I'll put these links down in the description of the recording after it's done, and I'm going to throw that off screen there so you don't have to see that. I really need 3 screens. I've got 2 screens here, but I really need 3 screens. That's what I really need. That would really be helpful. But I don't. So, software development or systems development lifecycle. I need to go back there. That's the Netacad. We're going to look at that here in a few minutes. Oops, there we go. All right, so in the SDev class, make sure you do your reading. We covered a logic puzzle in the face-to-face class. So if you want this logic puzzle here, this is from TED Talks. Let me, I'll get the links from that too. I'll put that one on there. That one's the bridge riddle, and I'll talk about it real quick, and I'll put the link in the description below for you. Let me. It's on. You can see that on the screen there if you're wanting to get that beforehand. If you're impatient, you can get that. But the bridge riddle is you need to cross a bridge. There's zombies coming after you, but you've only got 17 minutes to cross the bridge. There are 4 people that need to cross the bridge. Only 2 of you can go at a time, and you have to carry the flashlight or your lamp with you when you cross. So who's going to go first? Who's going to go second? You know, who needs to come back for the other people? And so you go through the logic puzzle of, does the professor and janitor go across first? The professor's going to take 10 minutes. He can't come back because that's going to take 20 minutes, and that's too long. Do you go across because you only take 1 minute? So do you escort everybody? Well, if you escort the professor, that's 10 minutes, and then 1 minute back for you, that's 11 minutes. And then if you take the janitor, that's another 5 minutes plus a minute back, plus the labus is 2 minutes, and then that's too many minutes. So you have to figure out who to go across and who to bring the lamps back and all of that. And if you watch the video, and the link will be in the description below, it explains the solving of that logic puzzle. Also, we have a discussion board post this week. There's another riddle that we're discussing, so make sure that you do that. Let me scroll down there. The puzzle is Tom, the head counselor at the Pinecrest camp, lost his schedule for Saturday. Use the clues to figure out when each activity takes place. Activities are swimming, hiking, canoeing, crafts, and free time. And the times are 9, 11, 1, and 4. And then they give you these clues. The campers have lunch at noon. They do something relaxing after lunch. So, they have lunch and then relax. So, you've got part of the schedule. All lake activities are scheduled before lunch. Hiking is not the last activity of the day. That gives you a clue. The first activity of the day is Tom's favorite. His second favorite is canoeing. So now you've got some clues there because his second favorite is canoeing, so that eliminates a couple. And then Tom usually chooses to nap or read a book at 1 p.m. So that gives you some clues there, and then you can build a schedule. And so the discussion board this week is to go in and discuss that, and how do you think the schedule gets built on there. There's a quiz. There's also a homework assignment from the textbook, so make sure you do that as well. All right, so that's SDev 120. I'm going to move over to the ITSP 135 course and talk about that for this week. That's hardware and software support. I'm going to go to the CompTIA website here just to show you. If you are in the ITSP 135 course, you're not required to take the A+ exam, the CompTIA A+ exam. Actually, there's 2 exams. However, there's an ITSP 136 course, which is a certification prep course. It's a 1 credit hour course that you can take, and it's solely focused on prepping you for the certification, the A+ certification. If you are going to pursue certifications, my recommendation, if you're going to go the CompTIA route, my recommendation is do the A+ first, then the Network Plus, and then if you're going to pursue the Security Plus, then do the Security Plus. And those three will give you a good foundation for IT support or in the IT area if you're going to go in there. And there's a lot of different debate. There's a lot of different opinions on the different types of certifications you should or should not get. There are some people that tell you, no, you shouldn't even do certifications. Just get experience, just get job experience, and you can just go do the job. That is, and that's one opinion about it. There's another opinion that, yeah, you should get certifications, but CompTIA, don't even bother with CompTIA A+ or Network Plus because those don't mean a lot. Go for the Cisco certifications or the Oracle certifications or Apple certifications or Microsoft. Go for some of the industry specific certifications. CompTIA is not industry specific. It's not focused in on one particular company. Whether it's Microsoft or Oracle or Apple or Amazon. Amazon certification even. Even Google's got some certifications as well. So I'm going to tell you my opinion about it. And again, these are opinions. My opinion is it's going to depend on what you think is best for your career. And the reason I say that is because there's an example of, I know the Disney, I had a student in the past, they were going to go work for Disney, but Disney wanted them to have the Microsoft certified systems engineer, I think the MCSE. I think they had the MCSE, so there were 7 certifications with it or something. No, they had to have the MCSA, and there was like 5 certifications with it, and they were getting their MCSA. They essentially got hired by Disney. Disney said, "Hey, we're going to hire you. However, you need to finish this certification before you can start with us." And so they were spending about 6 months getting prepped to do that certification. So if you're going to work for a company that requires certifications, you have to look at that company and look at that area and say, okay, I'm going to need to pursue these certifications. There are other companies that don't want you to have certifications. I've worked for a company in the past where the CIO said in a meeting, and it still to this day sticks with me because the CIO, the senior leadership of this company said, well, we don't want our employees, we don't want you getting, and he said this, we were on a conference call of the IT folks. Said in a conference call, well, we don't really want you getting certification because you'll leave us and go to another company. And I was just sitting there silence because it's like, well, wait a minute. So you don't value us, pursuing education. You don't value us getting better. So what's the point of us even trying to get better at what we do? If you're not going to help us, even if our own, what we were trying to do is get the company to pay for some certification based on some things that we were doing. We were in the process of installing Windows 2000 servers, and we were saying, hey, could you at least provide us some training? Instead of us, spending our own time getting this, hands-on training and doing this on our own, could you send us through some training? Could you possibly get us some certification? And that was the comment that no, the view of him and the CIO and the company was that that they were not gonna pay for certifications because we would leave. We would take that. Now, of course, I was thinking to myself, well, then have somebody sign a contract saying that, okay, if you're going to spend $200 on a certification and maybe $1,000 on training and $200 on a certification, then say that I have to work here for 2 years. Say that I have to commit for 48 months. Or 24 months or 48 months, so 2 years, 48 months. I'm not even doing my math right there. 24 months, do a 2-year commitment. And then if I don't stay with the company for 2 years, if I leave to go somewhere else, then I have to pay it back on a prorated schedule, or that I have to pay half of it back or something like that. And then that's an incentive for an employee to stay there. But they didn't even want to do that. And I have worked for other companies that they do that. They would say, okay, we're going to send you to training. We're going to pay for your certification because we value all that. But if you leave us, you're going to pay us back. And then you have to do these certain parameters. A college I worked for one time did the same thing. Said you got to teach a certain amount of courses in that area. And if you don't, then you're going to pay us back. And I think that's a better way to do it. So my opinion is it really is going to depend on which area you go into. I think certifications are valuable. I've done a few certifications myself. I'm not a good certification test taker. I get really stressed out about the material. I know the material. I just get stressed out about taking the exams. I just so if you're in that category with me, I totally understand about test taking and that. And I'm going to move over here because I want to make sure um, that I'm not missing my chat window here. So I totally understand about test taking. So my opinion is, if you're going into the IT world, look at which area you're going into. If you're going into programming and some database design or maybe HTML design, there's some training and some certification that you can get. However, it's not as much as you would maybe need if you're going over into the networking world and over in the server side or networking side, or maybe even the cybersecurity. And there's certification, certainly certifications in all those areas. It just depends on which area you're going into. So you really need to take your career into your own hands. Don't let somebody else tell you what you need or don't need. Research what areas you have. You can go to the if you want to know for the United States, you can use the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Let's see here. Let me see if I can BLS.gov. There we go. I don't need the mobile version. BLS.gov is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. If you've not used this website before, and I'm going to make a link to this one as well because I want to make sure. So you just have to be patient with me as I let me get the link to that. This site is part of the Department of Labor. Excuse me. The United States Department of Labor, and what they do is they collect information. If you don't know, the government is good at one thing, and that they're good at a few things, but one of the things they're good at is collecting data. Whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, they collect data. Probably not as good as Google or some other companies at collecting data on your Facebook, collecting all of your emoji post. But they do collect data, and one of the things that you can use this for is just kind of as a general guideline. Maybe either look at the economic outlook, but if you go to the home area right here, and you can look in different subject areas, you can look at employment, pay and benefits. So let's just say you don't know, you're thinking about going into database design, and you're like, and I just had this question from a student this week. They weren't sure if they wanted to go into cybersecurity or if they wanted to go into database administration. And so, my question was really, it's going to be kind of what you want to do, because they are two very separate areas in IT that you can go into. And I gave them this site, and I said, here you go, you can go research the jobs. It gives you a general understanding of them. So let's just say if we go into pay and benefits, if that's really what you want to look at, is in the different area. But you can go into wages and occupation here, and you can just search in here, and you can say database admin, search for that. And you can look at database administrators right here. And it's going to pull up this page, and it's going to give you a general guideline. And it talks about median pay. And keep in mind, median pay is that's the middle point. That's which half of the workers in the occupation earn more than amount and half earn less. So when you're looking at 84,950, so half of the workers that they surveyed in 2016 made more than that, and half of them made less than that. So when you're looking at they have outliers, and this is where I always use the outliers when you come to statistics, where if you know who Michael Jordan is, a famous basketball player, when they say the college that he attended, and he was in I think a marketing program. I may be wrong about that, but they can say the average person that graduated from this college in the marketing program makes $500,000 a year. The median pays $500,000 a year. Well, yeah, because the Michael Jordan got a degree from there, and he makes millions and millions of dollars a year. So that drags the number up. That drags that median number up. So you got to be careful about looking at statistics with numbers. So what I always caution students on this is saying, okay, I can make $84,000 a year. Well, not necessarily. If you live in rural Kansas, if you live in a town of 10,000 people in Kansas, you're probably not going to make $84,000 a year in database administration unless you're doing it online for a company somewhere, possibly. Are you going to make more than that if you work in New York City or Chicago or maybe LA? Yeah, you're probably going to make more than that, but then you have to take into account the cost of living. For example, I can buy a home here in Indiana, and the same home that might cost me $120,000 here in Indiana is probably going to cost three or $400,000 in New York or someplace like that. So you have to look at cost of living, and you have to take that into account as well. So it's kind of a, I say use this as a kind of a guideline and a research to say, okay, is this a good job overall? Um, and so it's saying here you need to possibly, the typical entry level needs a bachelor's degree. So you're probably going to need to go through an associate's program and then get a bachelor's degree, maybe in not so much database administration at that point, but maybe in IT administration or something along those. Just find the college that's going to be best for you to get that. A computer science degree may not get you into database administration. That's why I try to sell the community college experience, because here at Ivy Tech, we give you really good hands-on experience with these different types of programs. When you come out of, for example, in the database, you've had your hands on databases. You've seen what the databases look like. You've seen, you get into SQL and learn some SQL code. You get into, a little bit of Oracle. When you go through the cybersecurity program, you've had your hands on malware. You've been into the labs. You've seen what malware looks like. You've seen how to secure systems, things like that. And then you move on to a bachelor's program that gives you some more of the theory. Maybe you go then do a computer science degree. My particular degree, I pursued a management degree, because when I was in IT, working full time in IT, I had the IT experience already. I had a lot of experience, but I needed management experience. I needed management training, so I did my degree in management, and not necessarily IT. It was just in management, because I knew I wanted to be in IT management, and the management training that I was going to get from my degree was going to be better for me than getting an IT degree. And plus, when I did my bachelor's, there wasn't a lot of IT bachelor degrees out there. There's a lot more options now in the U.S. on those. So, number of jobs, 2014, 120,000 is what it's saying. This is 2016, so this is kind of lagging behind a little bit on numbers. Again, take these numbers on this site as more of a general guideline, just to help you do research. This is where, if you were searching for a car, you're like, okay, do I want a pickup truck, or do I want a car with 4 doors, or do I want a car with 2 doors? That's kind of this phase where you're at this point, to say, what type of vehicle do I need? Not necessarily I want a Ford with 2 doors and this size engine. We're not getting that specific yet. You're doing overall research on your career. And what I like about this website as well is it gives you some, what do database administrators do, and it kind of breaks down. Here's what you can kind of, maybe this again a general concept of, here's what DBAs, database administrators, DBAs are going to be doing: ensuring organizational data is secure. So again, the security is in there. Testing modifications, maintaining the database, updating permissions, merging old databases and new ones. By far, this is not everything that you do in different areas. DBAs, there's a wide range of things that you can do, depending on the company and the project you're working on, and different things like that. Excuse me. So check that out, bls.org. I'll have that on the links as well when the live stream ends and the recording goes up, which will take about an hour, by the way. Okay, so we're going to jump back to CompTIA and go back to certifications real quick. So in CompTIA, there's a lot of different certifications that they have, and I would say that they are all helpful. But again, it's going to depend on what is right for your career. So if we look at the different certifications here, and let me just click on the page here. And if we look at these, there's A+, Network Plus, Cloud Plus, Project Plus, CSA, Security, Linux, Server, Mobility, IT Fundamentals, CDIA Plus, CTT Plus, Cloud Essentials. There's all kinds of different certifications. What you need to do is research which industry you're going into and which ones you think you need and which ones may be needed for a company. And so let's say, for example, we're going to look at A+, because we're talking about the ITSP 135 course. You can go down through, and what I recommend as far as getting prepped for a certification, I'm not going to go into details here about how to do a prep certification, because we cover that in the prep certification courses. For example, ITSP 135, that's ITSP 136. You can check the schedules for spring to see if we have those on the schedule. And I will also tell you that, and I will do a plug here for Ivy Tech. That I think we do a pretty good job of prepping students to get ready for the certification exams. We are not a boot camp. We're not one of the companies that you just come in and study for 2 weeks and just pass the exam. Because I know for a fact at our campus, the instructors here, our focus is to get you to learn the material and understand why you're doing what you're doing. Because you can have two different types of people that certify. You can have somebody that goes to a boot camp and that just gets their certification, and they don't really know the information, they don't really have the experience, but they pass the certification. They got a piece of paper that says, hey, I took an exam and I proved to CompTIA that I can pass this exam. But then you put them into a real world scenario and they really don't have the experience. They don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. They don't understand the different, on the A+ side, they may not understand the different types of motherboards that go in the different types of cases, and the different types of RAMs that go in those, and the different RAMs, different type of RAM and which chips go in which ones, and differences between SDD and HDD, and the different things. So you can have somebody pass a certification, but then what we do, I think, a really good job of, at least I know here on the Richmond campus and in Ivy Tech in general, we do a really good job of teaching you the material so that you don't necessarily go in and regurgitate information for an exam, but you really know what you know, and you know how to apply it. So there are 2 exams with the A+, the 220-901 and the 220-902. What I really recommend, just from a high level, is always check out the exam details. See when the launch date was. This one started in 2015. There are 2 exams, maximum 90 questions each. Go down through here. $205 for each exam. So it's expensive. So you're gonna, spend some money. I will also plug for Ivy Tech here. If you take this through Ivy Tech as a student, you get a discount on that. So that's not exact that you pay less than that through Ivy Tech if you come through our training, and you can also test at the Ivy Tech testing facilities. So I think there are a number of around the state of Indiana testing facilities that you can come in and do that. So the A+, and then look at the exam objectives. So you want to pull up, get the exam objectives. What they want you to do here is fill out a sample question, and you have to fill out this information here. If you don't want to give them your email address, I don't think if you can use the 10-minute email, or you can use a throwaway email. And what you do is you get exam objectives. After you get to this point, you can then go in and put which exam objectives you need. And I would recommend just checking them all and getting them all downloaded. It's a PDF file. You pull it up, tells you what the exam objectives are. And then you can check those out. And then you want to go down through and study that material. And there's some really good material. I use I'm not going to pull it up here. We're going to be putting some books in the library here at the Richmond Ivy Tech campus. So if you can visit the Richmond, Indiana Ivy Tech campus, you can come here and start checking those library resources out for studying for those. We'll hopefully have all those in place by the spring. Hopefully, I'm hoping by spring of 2018 we'll have all those in place. The other instructor and I are going to be working on those. So what you want to do is study the exam objectives. It's Exam Cram. That's it. Exam Cram is one of the ones I use. I use after I get to a point where I've studied the material and I just need to prep for the actual exam. Then I do the Exam Cram material, and you can find those on Amazon and other places like that as well. Okay, so for ITSP 135 Module 3, let's I'm doing a timestamp here. So if students don't want to look through the other stuff, that's about, how far are we into this? I don't know. Let's see. We're about 35 minutes, 38 minutes. Okay. So module 3 for ITSP 135. I'm going to collapse these so it's easier to find them. What we're covering this week is processors and upgrading memory. And we're working with the Gene Andrews text in this course. We're also using the testout.com website. So if you've not done the testout.com, I believe all of the students have, but in this course. But if you're working with this and you're an Ivy Tech student in another class taking this class, make sure if you're using the testout that you're getting in there and doing the labs. I'll do a note for my students here that I moved the grades over from testout. but I don't do that every week because sometimes I bundle them up and move them over. But those will get moved over. But always check the testout.com to see what your grades are over on there. And I do get those moved over. I just don't grade those as quick. I don't move those grades over as quick as I grade the quizzes and other things like that. I try to get all that grading done on Monday. The module ends on Sunday. I try to get all the grading done on Monday. So if you don't see those grades moved over as quickly during the week, just that's why. It's not that I'm forgetting them. I just don't go in there and do it because it is a very labor-intensive process because I have to pull up your grade book and test out and then look at each one, put those points together, and then put them over into the Ivy Learn side. Okay, also check out the there's some videos on there. I'm going to do a plug here for my material and the NetAcad material. If you are in my ITSP 135 class, you also have access. The Cisco NetAcad Network Academy has IT Essentials material, and if you are in my ITSP 135 class, you also have access to this IT Essentials course here on the Cisco Networking Academy. And this material here supplements what's in the regular course. I know there is one campus that's teaching this 135 course with just this material. It's really great material. I'm going to plug also my videos. I did a series of YouTube videos. If you click on that link right there, and I will also put a link in the description below for that, or you can just go to my YouTube channel and check out the playlist. And if you go to my playlist, I'll just do it this way. So if you go to my playlist here, and you're gonna see them all here. But if you go down to the playlist and you go down to the IT Essentials right here, find this one, Cisco Networking Academy IT Essentials. That's the latest material. And stop playing, and you'll see all of these videos here. There's a 19 in total, and I have went through the material and I've just lectured on each one of them. It's really, I've taken the PowerPoints. I've taken the PowerPoints and I just go through and lecture the material. So if you want the material to be shown to you, that's what I've done here. I just went through and lectured on that, talked about it. I've tried to keep them 20 minutes or so, but some of them are longer. I try to chop them up. I'm getting ready to redo a series on the routing and switching, the NETI 105 course I teach, and I'm not splitting the chapters up on that because it's too much of a hassle to try to split chapters up. I'm just going to let it ride. If it's a 50-minute video, it's a 50-minute video. You'll just have to skip through ahead or whatever. I'm not the different parts and stuff are just too much to try to keep up with. So you can check that out. And let me back up here. There we go. I'll put the link. I'll put the link in the description below for you, so you can check that out as well, and that will give you all the videos there. If you are not one of my students, you probably don't have access to this here, the IT Essentials material, but that's okay. You can get it from the videos on there, the concepts and practices. I did not go through and do any lecturing on like they do quiz cards here for you, so you can do quiz cards and what's ESD and go that's pretty cool that you can do that. And there's exams that you go through. If you take this course, we're not, like I said, there's only one Ivy Tech campus that's teaching this. There's a skills-based assessment and then a final exam that you take in this course, but it's not required for my I-135. And there's also a plug for Linux. I'm going to plug Network Academy here on, if you go to netacad.com, even if you're not an Ivy Tech student, if you're just an IT person out in the world and you're like, hey, I want to check this out, you can go to netacad.com and sign up. You're not required to be part of an academy. You can go in here and I'm going to the landing part there. But when you log in, let me go to I'm Learning here. You can go in and you can sign up for some different free courses. So if you browse the catalog collection here, you can go down through here and you can say, okay, if it's instructor-led, you've got to go through an academy. If it's self-paced, for example, you can find some of these that are that you don't have to pay for. You can just get training on it. So, like for example, if you want to learn about Linux, the beginning, now the LPIC information, the LPI information, you have to go through instructor-led, and we're hopefully in the future Ivy Tech's going to start using this material in their Linux course as well. But you can take this Linux Unhatched You can enroll in that, and I'm going to go ahead and enroll in it. Even though I'm already enrolled, it's going to say, hey, you're already enrolled in there. And sure enough, boom. And this is one of the things I'm working on is my Linux certification, Linux Plus certification. So, yep, see, I'm already enrolled. And so you can get in here and you can take this for free. There's not a lot of information here, but it will get you started. So if you're wanting to know what Linux is and kind of get started on the Linux, they also do mapping here. So they say, hey, this also aligns to the CompTIA A+ 902 domain 2.1. So if you check out the CompTIA course objectives, that'll show you the domain 2.1 and what it covers there. But if we go down here, go to modules here, and there's the course content, and it will take you through essentially beginning Linux. What I really like about this is the nice thing that I really like about this, is if you take this, as you're going down through these 20 different slides or 20 different pages here, and it's talking about the different things, eventually it'll pull up here. You have a virtual lab over here on the right side. So you don't have to install Ubuntu. You don't have to install Linux. It's got a virtual lab over here for you. So, I can press enter. I can go, ls to list my, list stuff out. So as you're working on it on the left-hand side over here, you can come over here and you can practice on the right-hand side, which is really nice on the Linux side. So you should check that out. Now for my NETI 105 fall class, I'm going to do a quick overview of it. And let's go to the modules here. So we are in module 3. I'm going to collapse that. In module 3, and this is just an update for the students. I do have videos. If you've not found the videos yet, I do have those in. I had listed those in module 1. Those are listed right here. Those are also on my playlist, so you can find those on YouTube. Just quit playing. I wish it wouldn't do that to me. This is the list 1 here. This is wait a minute. I need this part right here. This is, well, heck, how come it's not coming out? Hello. Well, that's the playlist 1 video. Oh, okay. Well, that's weird that it's not showing the playlist over here. So just go to my YouTube channel, find the playlist. Yeah, it should be coming up. Find the playlist on there. Go down there, and then if you find the version 5.1, oh, I'm sorry, this is oh, I don't have those running yet. That's hidden, so I only have 1 on there. I'm prepping my playlist for 6.0. I'm getting ready to do the 6.0 material, which is the current material. 5.1, I will tell you, is still 99% there. It's just they move some chapters around, so you're still going to see the material. But if you go to the 5.1, that still works, and then it's got all the chapters here. Again, see, I've got them all broken up. I've got on there how to, my videos on how to do binary, how to do subnetting, how to do ANDing, and all of that. But these videos here will take you through, and really what I've done here is just go through and I lecture on the material. So the material in the Cisco Networking Academy, one of the things that I wanted to do for my students was that the material, when you go through this, for example, I'm going to go to module 3 here, and let me launch chapter 2, and I'm going to show you. When you do the material here, there's no audio. It's just all reading, which is not a bad thing, but it's just all reading. And so what I found a little bit lacking that I wanted to add to my students was that there was some audio material for my students. So I went through the material. I don't lecture on this page here. I just lecture on the PowerPoint material, which supplements this. And so I just went through and lectured through the same kind of topics that go through these, so that you have some audio learning for you or for yourself. Now for module 3, we're going to be doing labs this week. So you want to check out chapter 2. You want to read through the material first. And for example, like they have some hands-on here. So like the shell here, they talk about the operating system. They talk about going through, command line. There's some Windows 7 there. And so they go through some of these. You can walk through these yourself. Talks about access methods, the console, how to get into the console. That's what it's talking about. What you want to do is these labs right here. Most of these labs, unless it tells you to do it in the NDG lab, you're going to do all of these in Packet Tracer. So you're going to open up your Packet Tracer program. You should have the latest one. You do have to have a Network Academy NetAcad account to get to Packet Tracer and do that. So you want to open that up. And then what I do is on each one of these, depending upon the lab, and I've got some labs, by the way. I've done some videos for labs that I put out online. I know there's one for 2147. However, I don't have them for all of the labs. So that's one of the things I've got on my schedule to do for this fall, hopefully before the end of the year, is do a series of labs for this course so that I can put those out on YouTube. And I'll get to those eventually. It's just it takes a lot of prep time to get those done. So for example, on this lab here, you want to open it up. You can do all of this in Packet Tracer. However, this lab was designed for face-to-face with actual equipment. So if you open up this lab here, you're going to get this PDF file, and it's going to tell you that you need to access a Cisco switch to the serial console port. Serial console port. Well, you can't really do that in Packet Tracer. You can't do that physically. We don't have a laptop. We don't have a cable that you can plug in. USB to the COM port here, or USB to COM port over to console. They got those as well, which takes a little bit of extra time. Work on that. On this lab in particular, you're only going to do part 2 here if you've got Packet Tracer, but you can do everything in Packet Tracer because it tells you in this section you're introduced to the use of privileged executive modes, or instead of user exec modes, but you can see user and privileged exec modes. And then you'll determine the iOS version, display the clock setting, and configure the clock on the switch. And so you're going to do a switch. So it's going to tell you, hey, you need to do so what's the switch that we were going to use? We were going to use right here, 2960. So you're going to take Packet Tracer, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to go to the network devices. I'm going to pull in a 2960 down here. If I can find 2911 will work. Oh, wait, no, I need switches. There we go, switches. 2960, duh. And then you can either do that, you can either set up a computer and put a console port onto it. So I'm going to plug that into the RS-232, and I'm going to put that into the console port. So I can come in here to the computer, I can go into desktop, go into terminal, click OK, and then there's my switch terminal. Or the great thing about Packet Tracer, I can just click directly on the device, click command line interface, and see it there. Okay, so and then you're going to just walk through the lab and do the steps of the lab down here in part 2. You're going to do the steps of the lab down here. It's going to tell you to show version. That we're on here, so we're going to do show version. And I know this is small on your screen, but there you go. So you're going to show version. All right. And then that's how you're going to do the lab. So you can do that with Packet Tracer. You don't actually need equipment. If you have equipment that in your lab, if you're in an Ivy Tech campus and you're doing this course face-to-face and you want have equipment, we've got equipment here. We've got this exact same equipment, 2960s. We've got a 2911 routers. And you want to come into the lab and work on these, then you just need to email me, jjohnson@ivytech.edu. Email me and schedule a time to come in for the labs. I do have lab times on the calendar or on my schedule, but I can also schedule, depending upon my schedule, I can schedule you to come in for the lab so you can work on some of these. If you're wanting to actually hold the equipment, see the equipment, and see it on the rack and how it works, that's helpful sometimes to be able to do that. So make sure that you do these labs. You're just going to walk through each one of them. And what's going on here? Your connection was interrupted. All right. So make sure you do your quiz. The quizzes do not count towards your final grade, but they do prep you to take the exam, and they do prep you to take the final exam in the course. Okay, I'm going to leave one last note here for the NETI 105 course. Just so you know, and I'm going to be sending out an announcement here probably the end of this week or maybe next week, you do have a midterm exam that is proctored, and you do have a final exam that's proctored in this course. So make sure, I've already submitted the proctor forms to Ivy Tech. So if you are going to do the proctoring on campus, which has got to be done on campus at an Ivy Tech facility or a testing center, check with your local. You don't have to come to Richmond to do it. So let's just say you're in Columbus or you're in Indianapolis and you're taking this. So call the Indianapolis campus, or call the I'll use the Bloomington. So call the Bloomington campus and say, hey, testing center. There's links in there on the proctoring. I'm going to send out more links on there. But you're going to call and you say you need to be proctored. They'll set you up for that. They've already got the forms for you for doing both the midterm and the final exam. If you cannot make it to a campus, or you're not located in Indiana, if you're taking this course and you're outside, I've had students in Afghanistan before, military duty. We've got ProctorU. ProctorU is a website, is a company on the internet that will proctor you. ProctorU, pun intended, I guess. They will proctor your exam And you'll need a internet connection. You'll need a webcam. You'll need a photo ID, and there's a small fee for that. I'm not sure exact. I don't want to quote the exact fee on that, but if you are going to take the exam outside of Indiana, and let's say you're traveling or something during that time, and you need to proctor it, but can't get to an Ivy Tech campus, then you can use the ProctorU, which is a good alternative. I've had a number of students use that in the past, and it works fairly well for them. Okay, let's move back to, that was ITSP 135, and I'm going to spend just a few minutes on INF 109. I'm going to live stream for about another 5 minutes. We're not covering, not that INF 109 is any less important this week, but there's just not as much that I need to cover in this this week. One, I want to do a quick note. Make sure you're working on the module 00, the essential competencies. Those are due by midterm, so don't forget those. There's different videos you need to watch, and then you're going to go through and do projects, and you're basically doing projects in each one of the Word sections, or each one of the Office sections, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Okay, let's see. Module 3. Yeah, Module 3, you've got some learning activities here, and you're going to go through and watch this video here. It's a very long video, an hour and 43 minutes. I don't tell you have to go through the whole thing. You might want to speed it up a little bit. It's through the OpenCourseWare Computer Science through Harvard Extension School. It's good material. It just takes a long time to get through it. What I do is I go through and, oh, hey, look, they got 360p. That's high def for you. The high definition of a potato there. So, but it's good material. I usually put the speed up, 1.25 or 1.5 because I can listen a little bit faster. So that speeds it up a little bit for me. And check out Linus Tech Tips here. He's got some really great videos, got a lot of viewers. I'm sure makes a lot of money on YouTube doing that. Oh yeah, he's even got the money showing there. But he talks about, he just got some really good videos on different areas. So he's going to talk about RAM speed in that one. Going to talk about 8K monitoring, 8K monitor, which my personal opinion, no, you don't need 8K. Most people don't even need 4K. There's not even that much movies and material out there in 4K. It really doesn't matter that much at this point. But anyway, it's got some good videos on there. Check out that YouTube channel as well. And then you got the Module 3 assignment this week in INF 109, and your Module 3 assignment is a quiz. So you get 20 points for that. There's no time limit. So you don't actually have to turn anything. You just have to do the quiz. So that's why I was saying there's not a lot of material to cover there. Okay, so we have covered a lot in the live stream today. I've talked about the different modules and the different classes that I'm teaching. There wasn't any questions that popped up in the live chat. I didn't have any students email me any questions this week, so or that I haven't answered, just directly, but didn't answer in a live chat or a live stream here. I'm thinking about adding a tech news, just some things to think about in the future. I'm thinking about adding a tech news or like a news at the top of the live stream, and maybe spending about 5 minutes just doing an update on current events, current news that's affecting technology. I don't know how well that's going to go over, so leave feedback for me on that. Maybe leave a comment if you think that's going to be helpful, or if maybe that's something that you want to see. I'm just trying to figure out what the best content is for the channel and for the live stream. And I'm also I'm doing the tech news. We also have an announcement. I think it's next week. I'm gonna drop my screen here. Let me go back to that there. I believe it's next week. I didn't want to pull my calendar up in front of everybody on the live stream there. I believe it's next week. I have Daryl Decker, or is it the 21st? I think maybe it's the 21st. Bum, bum, bum. I think it's the 21st. I think I've got Daryl Decker coming in. I'm going to have to check my emails, but you'll see announcements in the course on the live stream. So we have, let me just, think we're doing, let me see, the 14th. It is next week. I need to get announcements out on that. So it is the 14th. So woohoo, that's coming up next week. I'll do announcements on that. I'll do an announcement. I may do a prep video on that, just a little, 1 minute, or reminding everybody that we're going to do that. But Daryl Decker is career development here at the Richmond Ivy Tech campus. I'm going to have him. I'm trying something new with this, so we're going to see how well this works. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I'm going to try to see if it works. to have a guest come in on the live stream. Daryl Decker is going to talk about career development and what type of services career development offers students through Ivy Tech, and what support you can get on developing your career, maybe getting prepped for the career workforce as you get your Ivy Tech degree and move towards that goal of a degree. What services can Daryl Decker provide you from the career development department? So that's going to be coming up next week. So I'll do we'll discuss. We'll have Daryl Decker do his stuff first. Probably about 20-30 minutes is what I had planned for, and then I'll cover the course stuff. So we'll see how well that works. I don't know. I've never done that before with a guest on the live stream. I've always just live streamed myself. So it's just me and my headset and my laptop, and just basic bare bones live streaming. So I've got to bring my my regular microphone in from my home studio or home office. I call it a studio because it sounds more professional. It's my office in the basement. I call it the studio where my lights and my microphone are set up. But I've got them permanently mounted, so I've got to undo everything and then drag them into the campus. So we'll have Daryl Decker next week, and we'll see how that goes. Leave comments on questions you might have of him. Or you can ask him questions next week, and we'll go with that. So, all right, we are going to close out unless anybody has any final questions coming through on the chat. Do appreciate those of you that did watch. For those of you that did leave comments, I appreciate that. Leave comments in the if you're watching this in a recorded format, leave comments on things that you want to see or maybe questions you want to ask up in the future, and I'll cover those topics, things like that, that maybe that you want to see covered, in the material in general. And we'll try to cover those as well. All right. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel, and hope you have a great day.